The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to another episode of the Icons of Real Estate podcast, where we highlight top professionals who are making waves in the industry. I'm your host, Karen Roberts, and today I have Aaron Signor, and he is a seasoned expert with over 3 decades of experience in sales and leasing. Aaron's motto, if I don't earn your business, I don't deserve it. Love that. Encapsulates his commitment to exceptional service. And so with nearly 2 decades in real estate, he has successfully guided clients through every single stage of their journey, whether that means preparing a home for sale, whether that's searching for a beach getaway, or navigating investment options. So Aaron believes that every single person deserves the chance to own a home that reflects their dream. And this is what he tirelessly works for. So welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thank you.
And so for the listeners, would you like to share a little bit of your backstory? What inspired you to go into real estate in the first place?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I spent 20 years running dealerships. Started when I was 18 and moved into middle management at about 2021 and upset from there. What drove me nuts as I got into the upper management was, if you understand the auto industry, we're pretty aggressive. Buy low, sell high, and crush them. Doesn't matter what. There's a lot of people out there that can't afford what people do to them and the decisions they make truthfully. And if I told a sales manager, hey, this guy's a special finance type of situation, or it's an elderly couple that only has XYZ, and you send them into the finance manager with everything preloaded and said, don't sell them too much of this or too much of that or too much of this, don't do none of that. And they go in with a payment they can barely afford, and they come out with something that's going to take their head off within 12 months. And I looked at that and went, I can't control these guys, and they keep doing bad. I don't mind making too much money on somebody that can afford it. If they can afford it, hey, go ahead and spend it. If they can't afford it, do your best to help them out. And I hated selling a depreciating item. And one of my mother's longtime friends, Barb Zimmerly, had been telling me since I was about 20, you need to get into real estate. And when you get out of that game, come see me. So about 18 years in, I got tired of watching people get ripped and gripped and said, I need to sell something that, one, has licensure, which means you have a code of ethics that you have to follow and you have a fiduciary responsibility to your clients. And two, appreciates. So no matter how hard you smack them, in the end, if they hold on to it, they're doing well. And that also is the reason I created the firm, Small Business Real Estate, because real estate is small business. We, a long time ago, said we're not going to sell anything to the small business owner. We're going to rent to them. But in the 20s and 30s, back in the 1920s, 30s, probably even the 40s, when they were creating our boroughs, New York, Detroit, Chicago, all that, it was amazing. They had a little supermarket and an apartment above it, or a condo. Supermarket, apartment. So they bought that, and the little business owner had his business and his house above, or his shoe repair shop. And then my youngest daughter's grandfather owned a shoe repair, but he didn't have a building, apartment above it. He just had the shoe repair that he was renting. So my goal is, as we find new markets to chop up, we're going to develop the land and create it in a fashion that when they say it, affordable housing, I want housing that people can own. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Because you have to talk to a lot of different investors, and investors want money forever. When you create something to sell it, You only get to skin it one time.
Right. Wow. So
Whereas
you've
if you're, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, so you've really come from an industry where people have this perception of anybody involved in the auto trade. Yes, they would try to sell their grandmother. So you've gone in, the ethics side of it has affected you, and you've gone to go into something that is,
Real
well,
estate.
it's a,
It's
yeah, it's
it's a
about
it's a
leaving a
win.
legacy. Yeah, it's a win, and it's going to affect so many people on a real emotional level. So
I
you're
don't care
bringing,
about their emotions.
uh,
I really don't. I care about their equity. I want them to have the opportunity, their emotion. They'll be happy in the end. They always say thank you when all the dust settles. They go, oh, thank you. You did great. Oh, everything came together. But yeah, so their emotions will always pan out in the end. I want my job's to create the opportunity.
right, and so that they can leave a legacy. Because yeah, as you said, you know, renting is not really a good option for people, is it?
Not if you want to have equity in life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And these days, the most necessary evil on the marble that God gave us is money, and we
Yeah,
all need it. So
yeah.
the better we can do to plant some seeds for people and teach them how to grow their little garden, give them the opportunity to grow their garden so they've got their fruit.
Right. And so you've shared what sort of initially sort of sparked that interest, but how has that passion evolved over the last, well, 3 decades that you've been in the industry?
It was 2017 when I had a bit of a life change and said, instead of, because realized after 20 years in the auto industry, I had a book of business and clientele and friends and coworkers that was massive. So I didn't have to work real hard to sell anything. 2017, life changed a bit, and I said, it's time to go after the sleeping giant, which is the commercial industry. Because they said in 1973, they defunded the Small Business Administration. The Business Administration prior to 1973 had funding. They actually had control of money and could loan it out. In 1973, they said, no more loaning money. We're going to give you guys money, the Small Business Administration, to teach small business owners how to rent. And I said, that's enough of that. We're not going to teach people how to rent. We're going to go back, make America great again. We're going to go back and figure out a way to get this small pieces into everybody's hands, but you have to build it from the ground up. I'm in Clark County,
Mm.
Washington, probably one of the most sequestered pieces of Jim Crow's creation you could dream of. I was born and raised here, and we, a long time ago, said, nobody's coming into this county. And so they put a moratorium on building and
Right.
development. And so they said, if we can't sell it and we ain't going to sell it, then boom. Recently, in the past 10 years or so, we're on the I-5 corridor. The choice isn't here anymore. We've got Seattle to our north and Portland right on our other side. And where we are says it's here. The population growth is coming. And because of the climate changes and everything else around the equator, it's going to get into, we're all going to end up in a certain band around the planet, both north and south. I live in this very heart of that band. So I want to make sure
Ah,
that Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, the 7 western states around me have that we get in and start tearing it up and create opportunity for owners, both residentially and most importantly, small business commercially.
right. So that is more your focus, helping more the small business owners, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Fantastic.
watched 3 of my longtime small business owner friends when COVID hit and things got nasty. They'd been in business, I think every one of them 15 plus years minimum, a couple of them over 20, and they lost their businesses
Mm,
because they didn't own it.
yes.
They've been paying rent for 10, 15 years, never owned a thing. And what's the owner of the land say? Sorry, homie.
Mm, mm,
you know, and that is the hardest part is finding something that we can create. And it's always easier creating it from a blank cloth, which is bare dirt, which in my county
hmm.
and this region, we have a lot of.
Right.
So
So you're transforming that area. So can you share
Trying
any
to.
memorable experiences from your early career that sort of shaped your approach to your client relationships?
I'm not quite sure I follow that question. Um, from a real estate standpoint, it was the probably actually the meltdown in '06 when
Right.
everything went to the heck in a handbasket and people lost everything. Not too many. In fact, I don't know any commercial owners that lost property. I'm sure there's many of them, but those commercial properties that were lost didn't get into the small people anyway.
Mm.
And that probably was one of the biggest things I've just watched, because everybody talks about equity, social equity, diversity equity, this equity, that equity. Only thing I care about is people's financial equity. And if you don't give them the opportunity, that was probably one of the biggest changes. And then realizing that they took away the opportunity, that was the hard pill to swallow. And I said, no, we're not doing that anymore. I'm from here. I know the terrain. I know the animals. I know the plant life. I know the topography of pretty much everything in the region. So why not create something before I'm gone that will go on and carry on as a legacy that builds something for everybody else?
Fantastic. So in your view, what are the most rewarding aspects of helping clients find their dream homes, and how do you measure success in your work?
When you take the little guy that's never had something before and put him into it. That's truthfully it. Or I guess for me, it would be the very first one that you sell them, or the very last one that you sell them. Because I've got some friends and clients that have said, Aaron, this is going to be our last home, so let's make sure it's perfect. And Paula and Terry, some of my best friends in life, Paula said, Aaron, this is my forever home, so let's make it perfect. And we shopped and shopped and shopped and shopped. And I'd sold them 2 or 3 homes previously, and they always got bigger, 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 bigger. But now they finally found that little one, the little tiny one. And they said, this is it. And they've been there since. And that's a good feeling. Putting somebody in the first, putting somebody in the last. People moving up and whatnot, moving around. That's just what it is. Because the average consumer, I believe, still trades or makes a life change for residentially every 5 to 7 years. Right. Probably getting a little faster these days. But
yeah, sure.
that's been traditionally it. So everybody, that from 25 when you buy your first house to 55, you're going to change 6-8 times in most cases. So
either end,
yeah, that's the most fruitful from an internal standpoint.
Yeah, that leaves
getting
you
somebody
with that
their start
feeling.
Yes, absolutely. Every real estate transaction, whether it be commercial or residential, is completely different, which is probably one of the funner things about it. So the middles, it's been a lot of fun.
That makes a lot of sense. So how do you stay motivated and continue to adapt in this market is well, there's one thing, it's in a continuous state of change, right? So what advice would you give to maybe new agents that are starting in real estate at the moment?
Keep track of your database. Follow up with your people. That would be my most, personally, it's my hardest part is keeping track and following up with all your people. I was one of the first ones in the auto industry that had a brick Motorola phone, and that's before you could store any numbers on there. So I had a brick phone and my little 3 spiral ring with all my people in it, and then I had cards. I lost the cards years ago. Luckily, that was after the flip phones came out, and you could put a first name in with a phone number. So yeah, keeping track of your people, who you talk to. And the most important aspect of that is first name, last name, and contact info. That it amazes me the number of brokers that you say, hey, who's that? And they say, oh yeah, call James. And they send you James's info for whatever reason, whether it be a subcontractor or who not. And all you get is a first name. That does not work in client communications, and especially in your follow-up. Because if you've
Right.
got more than three Bills or three Bobs, it gets
It
nasty
gets
real quick. So, but a lot of people just, I mean, it just out of sight, out of mind. You don't think about it. I'm talking to
right.
Karen. Karen, who?
Mm.
I probably got 30 Karens in my database. So if I don't put your last name in, I'm not going to remember at
Absolutely.
all. And hopefully
Absolutely.
I sell you a house here in the next 5 years. So I better make sure I've got all your contact info in here. When you move up here, I got to be able to talk to you and know who I'm talking to. So yeah,
Right.
having your systems in place and making sure you get complete information.
Because would you say that your business has been built on referrals, building
All of it.
relationships with past clients? There you go.
All of it. I hate to say it. I am 100% horrible at cold calling and all this stuff. Yeah, I'm not a cold caller. I'm not a tech guy, so it makes it real tough. But yeah, 99.9% of my business is repeat and referral. Luckily, we've put into place some systems that actually assist that. I don't have to worry quite as
Mm-hmm.
much. And you got all these guys selling automated this and automated that. Most of it works, and it's amazing how often a client will call me up and say, "Aaron, what in the world was that automated thing? It sounded cool." I'm like, "Yeah, it said your name, didn't it?" Like, "Oh yeah." So yeah, they
Well,
they get a
nothing's going to replace the foundation that you build your business on,
mhm,
which is all about the building of relationships. That's what the
relationships.
business is.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And so for
Exactly.
where you are then, how has business been? A lot of realtors that we've been speaking to this year's been a bit of a struggle. How has it
This
been
is
for
a this
somebody
is a
like you?
it's not been easy, but not been hard. The region we're in here, I don't think we've seen any depreciation. Life changes for people have created a lot of tumultuousness in the market for short sales, foreclosures, divorces, this, that. I can't
Hmm.
imagine or believe how many divorces were created by this last election. A divorce will always create a sale, not a good one, but it's a sale.
Hmm.
So the market's been overall good here, but the tumultuousness has made everybody a little antsy, whether it be buyers or
Mm.
sellers, because everybody's saying, well, rates are supposed to come down. Rates are supposed to come down. Catch 22, homie, is when they come down, get ready because the prices are going to go up. It's a percentage, this isn't hourly labor. This is percentages
Mm.
of increase in value. So yeah,
Mm.
it's been a little bit tougher, but it hasn't really backed off here because we are the sweet spot of the globe, run it all the way around.
Location,
California,
location, location.
location. And when you're stuck on a marble, that location means something.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's for sure.
So what's next for Aaron then? What are your goals for next year?
Next year, if everything goes properly, we will be expanding and doing our actual first and probably second development of commercial mixed use properties. And
Awesome.
that's our goal. I actually had the previous one. Realize I'm not college educated, and I have no concept prior to being in real estate, the commercial industry. And that once my eyes got opened and I took the CCIM course, I went, this is where real money's at, and this is why everything's been targeted into one sector. And that's where
Brilliant.
the equity needs to get chopped up, and everybody needs to have an opportunity for it. So next year, yeah, I plan on moving. If we do everything right, we'll have three on this side. And when I say sides of Washington State, three on this side projects underway, and one hopefully started on the east side.
Fantastic. So 2025 is looking good already. So
Yeah, actually, it is. With Trump in, I hate to say
good.
it, man. It's gonna part. We're gonna party like rock stars.
Fantastic. So our last question is always the same because here at Icons, we're not just a podcast, we are the number one real estate podcast network. And we are passionate about making podcasting accessible for everybody involved in the business of real estate. So if you, Aaron, had your own podcast, what would you call it?
Real estate is small business.
There it is. There it is. Perfect combination. Yes. If you're a small business owner, in Washington State, where can they get hold of you so that they can own a piece of the pie?
SBRE.global. Because we're going to go all the way around the world and create opportunity for all the small business owners out there.
Wonderful. What a legacy. What a legacy. Look, Aaron, it's been lovely speaking to you today. Thank you so much for your time. And to the listeners, I will be back next time with the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Bye for now.